Welcome once again to another edition of the Earth Frenzy radio show here on Blog Talk Radio. There's been much discussion in recent years among clerics and the general populace that we are headed towards a period of great turmoil, a time in which mankind will bear witness to great changes, a purification or cleansing of the earth. This will be a time unlike any that this generation has ever seen. A time in which our physical and spiritual well-being will be tested. As in previous generations, a story will be written and told, which describes great cataclysms upon the earth, a time in which this planet was turned upside down, so that it appeared as if the sun were rising in the west, and men would tremble in fear as a result of these great events. Now, I know what you're thinking. This sounds like a great story for Hollywood producers or novelists. But all this really amounts to is words to frighten the public into believing something that couldn't possibly happen. Yet history tells us that similar changes have occurred throughout man's existence and will continue as long as man inhabits this planet. When we refer to the biblical account of Noah's flood or the parting of the Red Sea, we are left to ponder whether these events ever took place, and whether they occurred as a result of some great celestial event or by the hand of a divine being, as most religious scholars would have you believe. One thing is for certain. Great civilizations that once flourished and prospered were suddenly cast into the sea, as is evident in the sunken archaeological discoveries found in such places as Egypt, Greece, and Japan, or cities buried under tons of rock in Macedonia and areas that border the Mediterranean. How did these great civilizations meet their end? Was it a natural occurrence or something very unusual that took place? Are today's powerful nations preparing for a great cataclysmic event that scholars and scientists alike have predicted will occur? We are going to be speaking today with someone who believes that we are headed towards a period of great earth changes and human tribulation as a result of a celestial event that occurs on a time scale approximately every 3,600 years and plays havoc on the Earth's orbit through its magnetic and gravitational pull. Nancy Lader has been a frequent guest on this show and has appeared on numerous radio shows over the years. She has lectured on the subject of rogue planets, alien life forms, Earth and climate changes, and the 2012 prophecy, and has included these topics in an audio lecture series that's available to the public on her website. She has also educated many across the internet on survival preparedness through a nonprofit website called Troubled Times, and has a large audience that follow her publications on her website, zetatalk.com. And we're pleased to have her back here again. Welcome, Nancy.
Oh, I'm pleased to be back.
I always have a fairly large listening audience, especially from the archived webcast, whenever you're on this show. And I know that you always speak from the heart in both your audio and video presentations, and I believe this has served you well over the years. Now, we're going through some rather drastic changes on a number of fronts, particularly the environment. Climate change is not only taking a toll on the ability to deal with our surroundings, but it's also affecting the global economy in some respects because of man's negligence and greed when acting as stewards of the earth. Now, what scenario do you see playing when it comes to dealing with sudden changes in climate and the disasters that are now ensuing on a regular basis around the world?
Yes, the Zetas, I heard you introduce me, but I don't think you mentioned, for those who might be new, that I get my information from aliens from Zeta Reticuli, those tall, skinny, big head, big eyes, high IQ guys. I'm in telepathic contact with them and have been all my life and had myself enhanced in my late 20s so that I could pick up their concepts more readily and wrap English around it, which is the basis of the Zeta Talk website. They have been mentioning steadily, because they're frequently asked, what about the economy? When is it going to uptick? When is it going to improve? Things that they predicted when Zeta Talk began in 1995, officially on the web began, were changing weather patterns where we would have drought and deluge swinging back and forth, changes in temperature, extremes in temperature, so that the seasons almost seem to blend into each other, snow in summer, very warm winters, that kind of thing, which would cause crop shortages, which is now an undeniable effect of this. And is readily admitted by the United Nations, etc. Starvation is much higher. Food prices have gone up. Crop shortages are real and worldwide. They also predicted that the rogue planet would come into our solar system. It did in 2003. Precisely when and where they said it would arrive. It's creeping past the sun and will sling out from the sun like a giant comet at some point, which it will cause a crustal shift, causing the devastation that so many prophets have predicted. The Armageddon, the end times, whatever 2012, however you want to term that. So they've said, our economy is not going to improve. The crop short, what we're having is a domino effect. Not only do we have earth changes caused by an earth wobble where the North Pole is shoved away and allowed to bounce back daily, since this rogue planet passing as a big magnet and pointing its magnetic North Pole at us, this jerking around has increased the force and frequency of earthquakes, which cannot be denied, pulling apart of land, what they call in the stretch zone, sinkholes, dropping bridges, imploding buildings, derailing trains. These things drive up insurance costs, exploding gas mains, and exploding factories. Insurance costs, and it takes a while to get back into business, even if the insurance companies do have money. And then we have crop shortages, which cost everybody more money, to struggle to get. So the economy is steadily, we're in the second Great Depression, and we're not going to come out of it. We're only going to, at best, a holding pattern. Obama's trying to maintain a holding pattern at the very least. And we won't come out of it. What we're going to see is more earth changes, more crashing and booming and falling down, and eventually roll into the last weeks, which will be very evident to people. So that's the prognosis for Earth.
We've been hearing and reading so much these days about the end of the world predictions, and indeed many disturbing things have occurred that would give pause to anyone that believes that the hourglass is running short. Yet there are still many confused people that can't quite seem to grasp the reasons why everything around us is changing so quickly. It seems that fear has taken hold of society to the point where some may be in a state of self-denial. Now, when we consider the changes taking place upon the earth these days, first of all, we have to determine what's causing these sudden changes, and then we have to decide on a course of action if we don't wish to be a statistic in the course of these events. Now, you communicate on a regular basis, as you said, with those who follow you on your website and in various chat rooms or social networking sites. Do you feel from speaking with others that there is or may be a general consensus among people that something very strange and unusual is happening to the earth? Or is there still a lot of uncertainty about what or who to believe and what to do to keep from getting too discouraged by any number of troubling events?
Both are happening, and there is a lot of denial when reality presses in. The Zetas have said that basically insecure individuals who don't have a lot of options are the most likely to go into what they call hardened denial. The more obvious it gets, the more they deny, such that even when we get to the last weeks and the Earth will stop rotating the week before the pole shift, or crustal shift rather, You will have people baking birthday cakes and going to work as though everything is normal, who just can't deal with it. Those type of people are in denial and will get worse as things get worse. So they're not expected to wake up.